American full-size pickups are growing in popularity all the time in Australia, and there's never been two more closely matched than the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 LTZ and RAM 1500 Laramie. Which is first amongst equals? Let's go and find out.
So you might think we've done all this before, and you'd be right. But back then it was the top spec limited version of the brand new Ram taking on a slightly weary Silverado we borrowed from a friend. But this time round, local importer GMSV has supplied us with a Silverado to take on the Laramie. They're both big, both have big V8 engines and big $100,000 plus price tags.
The DT generation Ram 1500 is the newer arrival on Aussie shores, and the Laramie is the more affordable of the two specs on offer. This example, however, has been tricked up with some options.
They include these clever Ram box stowage lockers either side of the tray. For 2022, these powered side steps change from options to standard, but the price for the Laramie goes up almost $5,000.
The Silverado's been around Australia for about 12 months, and it really stomped on the old Ram in our comparison testing, in part because of its sophisticated package of driver assist systems.
In America, these two are deadly rivals, and it's shaping up the same here. In fact, they're both converted to right-hand drive by the Walkinshaw Auto Group in the same factory in Melbourne.
Both the Chevy and the Ram come with big capacity pushrod V8 petrol engines mated to automatic transmissions, sophisticated 4x4 systems and 2-speed transfer cases.
The Chev makes more power and torque, but the Ram's Hemi V8 is aided by a 48 volt mild hybrid system that adds kilowatts and saves fuel. Mind you, fuel conservation isn't at the top of the agenda for these two. They both claim to chew through about 12 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres. We've found that to be a tad optimistic.
Inside, the Ram has the classier look of the two. There's stitched leather covering for the dashboard, the steering wheel and the seats, and there's also the odd splash of what looks like wood trim.
The front seats are huge, supportive and very comfortable. They're powered, heated and ventilated. There's some unique touches to get used to here, like the dial gear selector.
One of the biggest talking points in the Ram is this huge 12-inch touchscreen. It's a bit like what you'd find in a Tesla. It's about the only thing in the Ram you could say that about.
You can split the screen in two to access more features at the same time. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, and your smartphone can be wirelessly charged. Dial up Spotify and you can blast out your favourites on a 19-speaker Harman Kardon stereo.
There are many stowage options on offer. Check out this huge centre-lidded bin. There's even a measurement chart under the lid. I think that's what the Yanks call an Easter egg. The Silverado doesn't match the Laramie for interior drama and quality. It's a much more workmanlike presentation.
There's still leather upholstery, but it's not as high quality and the seats are flatter. It too avoids a console gear lever, instead going for a column shifter.
This whole centre stack area of the Silverado, including the much smaller touchscreen, just looks a generation behind the Ram, but in functionality terms, it does the job.
You do get the key features like Apple and Android, but don't expect the 7-speaker Bose audio to deliver the same all-encompassing sound as the Ram system.
Stowage impresses. There's a double glove box, big door bins and this big centre console box, although it can't quite match the Inspector Gadget effort in the Ram for smarts.
The Silverado has the advantage over the Laramie when it comes to standard high-end safety gear. Both get autonomous emergency braking, but beyond that, Ram expects you to spend thousands of dollars for stuff like adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, rear cross traffic alert and a 360-degree camera. The Silverado also has this cool rear view camera mirror that removes all impediments like headrests and window frames to give you a clear view of what's behind. Hey, it takes a little while to get used to, but it works. Well, we said these things are big, and nowhere is that more reinforced than in the back seat. In fact, back here, they're huge, but the Ram does have the edge. The rear seat splits in two and slides and reclines. The outboard seats are also heated, and here you'll find a couple of USB and USB-C ports to plug into. The Silverado is similarly commodious in the rear seat. It just doesn't have the Ram's party tricks, apart from outboard seat heating. The seat doesn't slide or recline, and the middle pew isn't as comfortable because of the hard backrest. Importantly, both vehicles come with adjustable rear aircon vents. And so do the trays. They're both big enough to swallow an Aussie pallet, and they both have spray-in bed liners, which is what we prefer. The Ram stowage boxes are a pricey option, but a good idea when it comes to security. Note the handy 3-pin plug-in here. I like the power assistance for the tailgate. The Silverado has more tie-down hooks to secure your load. But neither actually carries that much payload, which is a signature of US trucks. A Ford Ranger or Toyota Hilux can carry much more. Where the Laramie and the Silverado fight back is their 4,500 kilogram brake towing capacity. The best 1-ton utes like the Ranger can do is 3,500 kilos. Okay, that's enough talk. Let's see how they drive. The Ram is nearly 6 metres long and weighs in at more than 2,600 kilos. It's really big and heavy, and it's something you're always aware of. Clearly the engine and transmission have to work hard to move it all along, and they do that brilliantly. It's truly surprising how quickly this thing accelerates. The Laramie's also a vehicle that handles and steers with cohesion. Look, it's not one for the inner city, obviously, but get it out on the open road and hustles along with confidence. The Laramie trades in the Ram Limited's air assist for orthodox suspension and loses some plushness as a result, but the long wheelbase still helps it ride very well. Apart from some engine growls, which actually might be a positive depending on your point of view, the cabin is actually a very pleasant and quiet place in which to travel. Venture beyond the black top and the Ram is a comfy gravel road cruiser. But start throwing real obstacles at it and you'll quickly run out of ground clearance. If you want to really head off-road, get yourself a lift kit. Transfer to the Silverado and there's a fundamental similarity to the Laramie. It's just a tad lighter and a tad longer. Despite having better performance numbers and slightly less weight to deal with, the Chev V8 actually doesn't feel quite as strong as the Hemi, but it's undoubtedly valiant and ably aided by a 10-speed auto. The Chev doesn't quite have the same handling surety as the Ram. There's a bit more movement from the leaf spring rear end, there's a bit more roll, and there's not quite the handling surety. In fact, we also notice a bit of rack rattle out of the steering column, something we've noticed in previous Silverado tests. It's also busier in its ride when unladen, but we know from past experience it settles down when the tray has been loaded up. Like the Laramie, the Silverado is nice and quiet inside. You get those engine growls again and again for most of us, not a problem. It's a similar story to the Ram when it comes to taking the Silverado off-road. It's a tad better, but there's just not a lot of clearance. We even cracked the front bumper while negotiating a potholed track, and we weren't doing anything outrageous. Another lift kit on order, please. At the end of this test, the Laramie was averaging 14.4 litres per 100 kilometres and the Silverado 14.7. That's without carrying big loads or towing. It's a lot of thirst, but maybe not quite as bad as we were expecting. We're not happy with the warranty for either of these trucks though. 100,000 kilometres and 3 years is skimpy considering how much you're paying. And by G's, you're paying a lot for a vehicle that has a narrow set of attributes. For most of us, smaller 1-ton utes like the Hilux and Ranger will do the job as well, if not better. But if you do end up deciding one of these two beasts is what you need, then good luck making a choice, because they are both very impressive. The Ram is a more convincing drive, but the Chev is more affordable and does better when it comes to standard safety gear. On towing and payload, they are basically identical. It boils down to this: if money is no object, then the Ram with safety pack is the choice. But if the $10,000 saved means something to you, then settle for the Chevrolet and be happy in your choice. Either way, it's hard to see you losing.